Welcome to the Michael Singer podcast, presented by Sounds True, in partnership with Shakti Publications. For more information about Michael Singer's work, access to all prior episodes, and information about upcoming releases, we invite you to join us at michaelsingerpodcast.com.
Jaggerative, Jam Masters. Most of you, if you've come here at least for a while, are familiar with the term Shakti. And that term, however, is so big that it really encompasses the whole universe. But we don't see it like that. In yoga, they talk about prana. Different prana flows up the nadis, different things. Well, prana is Shakti. And you talk about the chakras, energy pouring through the different centers. You talk about kundalini coming up. Most of you are familiar with these terms. In yoga, coming up, raising up, bringing the Shakti higher. That doesn't even come close to what the word Shakti means. Start off as follows. The universe is called Chit Shakti. That's what yoga calls the universe. Chit Shakti, conscious energy. The teachings of yoga are so deep. It's the beginning and end of all knowledge of all of humankind. You'll see that when I'm done. That there is a state in the universe called Chit Shakti. Where is it? Everywhere's. It is conscious energy. Conscious energy. Energy that is aware, that is aware, that is aware of itself. It's just aware, and it also focuses to create power. That is what the universe is made out of. That's what the deep teaching of the great masters. First of all, how would we know that? Is this a philosophy? No, it is not a philosophy. It is an experience. And until you experience it, it's a philosophy. But you understand that great masters, what did they do to experience it? They rose above their personal self. They rose above the mind. They rose above the heart. They rose above the body. What does that mean? You're not your body. You're not your mind. You're not your heart. You're the consciousness that's aware that you have thoughts. What are your thoughts like? I believe this. I think this. I want this. I don't want this. I think this is right. I think I'm doing what's right. You have thoughts, yes or no. You are aware of your thoughts. That's your connection. You are aware that you have thoughts. I don't care what thoughts you have, it's your business. I'm just telling you the thoughts. That's all there are, thoughts. Are some of them higher than others? No. Are some of them more God than others? No. Every single thought is the same as a wavelet in the ocean or on a lake. It makes a vibration, creates a vibration. They're wavelets. They're just things. Thoughts are things. Thoughts are just things. If I'm sitting there looking at a picture, I'm looking at a picture. It doesn't matter what picture I'm looking at. It's a picture. A thought is a thought. Do not make your thoughts holy. Do not think your thoughts are holy. Don't think they're not holy. They're just thoughts. You have them, they're a dime a dozen. In fact, they're way cheaper than that. Do you follow me? We can't have this discussion unless you understand. You are in there. Do you have thoughts? How do you know? I know because I know. Because I see them. You do hear your thoughts, don't you? That's how you know you have thoughts. Because you do. That's the I am that I am. I'm conscious. How do you know? Hello, I'm conscious. I know because I know that 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 I know. There's no more. That's just I'm aware and you have thoughts. That's very important. People have problems with their thoughts. They think they're important or think they're not important. Oh my God, I'm so depressed. It's thought. I've told you, you are not depressed. Period. You are not depressed. You are aware of a psyche that's depressed. You're aware that this is low. What you're looking at is low. What you're looking at is low energy. What you're looking at is high energy. Same. It's just you are the consciousness aware of what is going on inside of your head, your heart, your body, and the world. And I wish you were. The trouble is you're not aware. Why am I not aware? Because you get distracted. You get pulled down into your thoughts. You sit there minding your own business, all of a sudden you have a thought, and then you're there with that thought. Then you get a train of thoughts, right? Then you have a thought that you really like. Oh my God, I want this. It's just a thought. You have a thought you really don't want. Oh, I don't want that. They're just thoughts. They're just noise. They're just vibrations in the universe at the level of thoughts. And they make these vibrations and they talk to you. They talk to you, don't they? Do your thoughts talk to you? And you argue with them. I'm right. I know I'm right. I understand this. I've seen this before. That's just a thought. There's no right, there's no wrong, there's no better, there's no worse. They're just thoughts. And if you're caught in your thoughts, you're caught in your thoughts. All right? Ramakrishna used to tell a story, a great master. We're going to get to the masters. He said that there was a businessman walking through the forest, and he got accosted by dirty people that chained him up with rusty chains and stole all his money and tied him to a tree. Okay, that's terrible, but that's what happened. Well, he got free, thank God, all right? Then he's walking through the forest again, and now he gets accosted again. But this time, they were higher class burglars. They chained him with stainless steel chains instead of rusty old chains. Okay? Okay, fine. Well, the idiot goes back to the forest again. Well, he can't help himself. He's selling goods. So he goes back to the forest, and this time he gets accosted again. They use solid gold chains. Solid gold that they chained him with. And Ramakrishna smiled and he said, what's the difference? You're chained. What's the difference if you're chained with rusty chains, chained with stainless steel chain, or chained with golden chains? That's a deep, deep teaching in India. They're just all the same. It's the same. Okay? The question is, are you unchained? Not are you chained, and how nice are the chains. You will come to a point in your life where you will understand really what I'm talking about. When you don't get distracted by your thoughts. Can I get distracted by thought? You're welcome to think whatever you want to think. As long as you understand they're just thoughts. How many times have your thoughts been wrong? How about you don't even know how often? Because you'll never check it. You'll sit there and say, I know what's going on. I know what she meant by that. She wouldn't admit it, but I know what she meant by that. You don't know anything. How would you know anything? You're not psychic. Stop it. Really, this whole spiritual thing of psychic and spirit, no, forget it. Be real. Just come down and realize you are not your thoughts. And you don't need to be your thoughts. You're not your thoughts. But you're welcome to do math. You're welcome to fly a rocket ship. You're welcome to do all kinds of things with your thoughts. They're very good. They're very useful. Your mind's very useful. But it is not useful for personal things. It is never, ever useful for making personal decisions. Ever. It's never right. How am I going to tell you something? It's never right. It can relatively be close, but it won't end up right. Do you understand that? You'll end up changing your mind. You'll end up wanting something else. You'll think this is what you want. Okay? Come on. Big dance, isn't it? I asked you a question. How often you thought you wanted what you want and turned out what you want? How often have somebody said, oh no, I can't have that. I might be so scared. And you find it's a wonderful thing. Your thoughts are just things. They're not to be trusted. They're not real. They're not anything. What about a thought about God? A thought about God is not God. It's a vibration in the universe. And I'm going to deep talk with you. Your thoughts are just a noise going on inside your head. But sometimes you believe them. And many people believe them all the time. I'm not worth anything. I'm not any good. I always fail. You know that. I always fail. I'm going to fail again. What is that? A thought? Does that mean you're a failure? No, you're not a failure. It means you're looking at a mind that's talking like that. This is what it means to work on yourself. To get to a point you realize if you want to grow spiritually, you can't be listening to your mind. It doesn't know what it's talking about. It thinks it does. It always thought it did, didn't it? When you were little, it thought it was, and with this and your first boyfriend, your girlfriend, and this and that, and then it always thought it knew something. And you eventually wake up and realize, the only thing I know, if you're wise, is that I'm in here. And I better watch it. Because I'm in here. And I'm watching a mind that thinks it knows what it's talking about. Negative, positive, good, bad, right, wrong, doesn't matter. If it's talking, you get to the point, I ain't listening. That's where you get. Okay? Now you're seated back behind the mind. This is where the great ones went. This is how they knew what they knew. I'm going back to that. They managed to be disciplined. It's about discipline. To be disciplined enough to just watch. But what if it looks interesting? To just watch. And I used to, in my early days, I've been through a lot of sadhana, a lot of years, so I learned a lot, right? I used to work with my mind as follows, and I used to teach this. I don't anymore. This is what a yogi's mind sounds like. What if I never bother to finish the sentence? What for? Let it go. That's how you grow spiritually. You realize your mind does not know anything. It never will. It never did. Psychology says you are the sum of your learned experiences. You're the sum of your learned experiences. They're right. The psyche, your mind and your heart, your emotions and your mind are the sum of your learned experiences. You're not. You're the one that's aware that you're looking at the sum of your learned experiences, and not so much fun, is it? All right? You are the consciousness, but you are looking at the sum of your learned experiences. I've given a lecture on this before. It's so obvious, it's ridiculous. Yesterday you met somebody. You didn't like them. How do you do when you see them today? The sum of your learned experiences. What if you hadn't met them? Well, then you get to meet them the first time. What if you met them and didn't like them? It's like you're just getting programmed by every experience you're having. Your mind is the sum of your learned experience, and your heart is the sum of your learned experiences. Oh, I feel so inspired by this. That is just the sum of your learned experiences. Something must have happened in your life, some sequence of events that got you inspired about something. I've literally met people that said, I've always wanted to do this since I was 5. Okay, let's let a 5-year-old decide what you're going to do when you grow up. You do that, don't you? If it had enough of an impression, you watched Mickey Mouse or something, right? And it had an impression on you, and now that impression comes back. So when you understand, I'm talking to you deep, when you truly understand what's going on, how many experiences have you had? And I've taught you, the truth is, you've had no meaningful experiences, none. Every single time you have an experience, there's 700 billion zillion that you're missing. What else is going on that you're not seeing right now? How many things? All over the place. You could have been having those experiences, but you didn't, okay? Therefore, what you're having is what we call statistically insignificant. At any given moment, you're having 1 out of 700 zillion experiences that are going on all over the earth and all over the universe. And you're building your psyche, everything you know and everything you think you know, based on that one experience, then the next one, then the next one, all of which are meaningless. Do you understand? I'm not trying to dish you, but is that not true? If you're only picking up 1 out of 700 billion, I don't think I'd put much weight in it. Because you could have, would you be different if you had different experiences? Wake up. I'm teaching you something so deep, it's so important. You don't know anything. And your mind will never know anything. That doesn't mean the self can't know. That doesn't mean you who's looking at the mind. That's where wisdom comes from. That's where inspiration comes from. That's where depth comes from. But your mind cannot know anything because it can only know the sum of your learned experiences. Well, that's kind of humbling, isn't it? And that's how it should be. You should realize I'm making up this stuff in my mind and saying it's all true, and I don't even know what I'm talking about. But that's okay. Neither does anybody else. They don't. How much did Einstein know? He had some intellectual understanding, but he still just had the experience he had. He read the books he read. They've turned out that some of his stuff isn't right. Newton, he had it right down, didn't he? He was totally wrong. Everything is just the sum of your learned experiences. And of course, some of you are brighter than others. It doesn't mean anything. You're just going through life, having one experience at a time, missing everything else. Then what do? You glue it together. You glue the pieces together that's stuck and say, this is what I know. This is who I am. This is what I believe. This is what I hope. It's all based on this tiny little collection of experiences. Can anybody take a breath and have fun with this? I'm liberating you. I'm freeing you from sitting there saying you know anything, because you don't. You can't possibly know anything. So what happens? Where the great ones went is they went past the mind. Man minus mind equals God, as Mary Baba said. What do you mean? You will get to a point, if you meditate, and it's not even the meditation, it's the understanding that you are not your mind and you are not your heart. Of course, sometimes you feel love for somebody. Good, that's wonderful. And tomorrow you might not. Have you ever loved somebody and then not loved them? Why? Because it's just the sum of your learned experiences. Somebody behaved a certain way, it turned you off. Now I ain't going out with them again. And you're waiting to find the right person, to find the right understanding so that you can know what's going on. You will never know what's going on. That is not how you know what's going on. You know what's going on by realizing, hey, mind, you don't know squat. And that's okay with me. It's got to be okay with you. You don't know anything. Fine. Am I comfortable not knowing anything? No. Well, that's your problem. That's ego. I need to know who I am. I need to know why I did what I did. I need to know who I like. I need to know what I want. I need to know where I'm going. I need to know. And just glues together these pieces in your mind, concepts, opinions, preferences, hopes, dreams, all this stuff, and it glues them together and makes you. It makes this thing which we call the ego, the self-concept. What is your ego? A collection of thoughts that you collected from the tiny little experiences that you had across your life. And you say, well, that's all I have. I'm sorry, that ain't much. And it's wrong. It has to be wrong because you missed everything else. If you had a different experience, you'd be thinking differently. So you just come back and you realize, I am not my mind. I am not my mind. I'm looking at my mind. It has the right to believe what it believes. It has the right to feel what it feels, but I am not my mind. Okay, now we're going to have a discussion. Well, then who am I? What a great question. I'm in here. I'm aware my mind is wrong a lot of times. I'm aware my mind will get all upset about something and then find out it was stupid. I'm aware. I'm a conscious being. That is where you want to focus. Spirituality is not about the mind. It is not about the heart. It is not about the body. Don't ignore those. You have the right to think. Okay, have some fun. It's a toy. Your mind is a toy. And so you come in here and you realize, I'm in here. That's what matters. I'm in here. Okay, can you be in there all the time? No. Why? I get distracted. I get upset. I get thinking. I get pulled down. My consciousness gets pulled down into this thing called my mind and into this thing called my heart. And I'm serious about it, and it gets me very caught. How caught? 100%. Doesn't it? Some people have thought patterns, then they change them. Have you ever met somebody who changed? You thought you knew them, and then all of a sudden they're a totally different person? Yes or no? Of course. It's just thoughts. They can do anything. You hear me? All you have to do is get turned on by something, your thoughts change. Get turned off by something, your thoughts change. Get bored, your thoughts change. It's just this collection of thoughts going on inside. Now, intellectual thoughts are fun. That's why you have a mind. It can do math. It can do things. All right? You have an inboard computer. Really. It can do all kinds of things. But not the personal mind. You don't want to touch the personal mind. The personal mind is the most fickle thing that ever existed. You can love somebody to pieces and not like them in 1 second. Yes or no? All they have to do is say the wrong word. Say it the wrong way. God, I love you so much. You understand? I just love you. Yeah, I love you too. What did you say? Just the intonation. All right? You don't want to hang out with the personal mind, but you don't know how not to. We'll talk about it. That's the spiritual path. The entire spiritual path is how to not hang out with the personal mind. So what happens if you don't hang out with the personal mind? Let's go back there. You find yourself not getting distracted. I don't know how to talk to you about that. You just worked enough with yourself. You've seen through it enough. You understood that, yes, it's going to say this and tomorrow it'll say something else. Or next year, it just keeps changing. It's changing. It's temporal. It's weird. Can you sit behind it and be conscious and see that that's what it's doing? Okay? And the answer is yes, you can, but it takes work. It takes a lot of work. That is what you call your sadhana, your spiritual practice. How to quiet the mind. Do you have to quiet the mind? Don't listen to me. The answer is no, you do not have to quiet the mind. You just have to not listen to it. Can I sit there and be by a lake that's very still and then have a leaf fall in and have it make ripples? Can I be okay even though there's ripples? Or do I have to stop the ripples? You just can be okay with the mind. Okay, I got a mind. That's weird. Does your mind say weird things? Which one of you will allow me to take a USB or fiber optic, doesn't matter, and plug it into Times Square and have that giant Times Square flat stream show every single one of your thoughts? Every single one. No suppression. Every single thought that pops up. Which one do you let me do it? None of you. The mind is weird. Why? Because it's the sum of your learned experiences. And you've had all these experiences, and they're personal. So what a great being does, you are great beings, is they're able to sit behind the mind. I want to talk about that. It's called witness consciousness, objective observation. Krishnamurti used to call it objective observation. Nowadays we call it witness consciousness or mindfulness. All right? You are back here noticing that your mind is talking. Are you there? No. Can you be there? Yes. Is that your spiritual path? That is your spiritual path. You're not going anywheres while you're watching your mind. Your mind's not going to take you to God. It cannot possibly take you to God. It's just thoughts. There's ripples in the ocean. But if you get behind your mind, how do I get behind my mind? By thinking, oh, I'm behind my mind. No, that's in your mind. It's very tricky. But you can get to a point. How do you get to the point? I'm not distracted by my mind. That's how you get there. I'm not distracted by my mind. I see the potential for energy to come up from below and pull me into it. I don't go there. We're talking about, what do I teach? My teachings are about letting go. I don't teach meditation. I love meditation. It's wonderful. You should all meditate. But I don't teach meditation. Why? I want to talk to you about what you're doing when you're not meditating. Much more time. You are back there. You can handle the disturbances and the distractions of your mind. You have to be a great being. If you're married and all of a sudden someone's behaving in a weird way and you get all upset, can you be back there? Or something happened that turns you on. You get all excited about something, right? Whoa, there's all this energy going on. Can you be not distracted by that? And the answer is, for most humans, they never even thought about it because they're just pulled right down into it. That's where they live. They live in the patterns of their mind. Let's get that over with. How does a human being live? By trying to get what the mind wants and trying to avoid what the mind doesn't want. Doesn't your mind tell you what you want? Does it tell you what you don't want? Does your heart tell you what you want? They're the same thing. Heart and mind are linked together. They're in cahoots with each other. It's a conspiracy. Well, seriously. So now your heart changed or your mind changed. Can you not go with it? Most people, they don't stand a chance. They don't even want to not go with it. They want to go with it. So either it is a promising thing and it seems exciting and I want to go with it, or it is a disturbing thing and I don't want to go with it. And that's where clinging and suppression come from. You end up owning these parts of your being and then going, that's how you grow. By all means, grow. You go through experience in your life and you learn a few things, don't you? Not everybody learns. Some people get all scarred and they get all upset and they're negative all the time. They go running after everything and don't get anything done. That's why. Because they're listening to the mind. The self, when you pull back, you're able to actually watch the mind do its thing and not get pulled in. So it doesn't mean you have to quiet the mind. That's not easy. Try to quiet the mind. The Gita says, the Gita has a line. Arjuna goes to Krishna and he says, quieting the mind is so difficult, Krishna. I don't know how to. Sooner I could stop a stampede of horses than to quiet my mind. Okay? So what do? You learn to sit in objective observation. You learn, let's do it quickly. How do you learn? By practice. You practice. What does that mean? It's raining out. I don't want it to be raining out. Step back. Just take a step back. Is it okay that it's raining out? It better be. Why? Because it's raining. So either I'm getting myself upset because I'm listening to my mind, not liking that it's raining. Isn't that silly? You know, like it's raining. You know, like how the driver in front of you is driving. What a waste of energy. This is what's happening. And so you learn to let go right then. To say, okay, I can handle that it's raining. I can handle that it's hot. I can handle what somebody said. Oh my God, there's a big one. I can handle it. I don't like what somebody said to me, at least what I think they said. I'm not sure, but I think they said it. And you start practicing what's called letting go. That's how you go to the next level. There really is no other way up. You know, it's not about having some spiritual experience and coming back with a drug or some experience. I'm talking about staying there. I'm interested in you staying there. It's called Jivan Mukta, a liberated soul. You're sitting there. You can see the wavelets of the mind. You see them start to pull you down. Don't they pull? They have a strong pull, don't they? And you let go. What do you mean let go? Let's get it over with. What does let go mean? Have it not happen? No, let go does not mean have it not happen. Let go is train the mind so it doesn't do that? No. Let go means I'm in here and I feel the tendency to be pulled down into my mind. I feel it. I feel it pulling me. Let go. But it won't stop pulling me. I didn't tell it to stop pulling you. It takes two ends of a rope for you to pull on one end to be attached to the other. Do you understand that? Don't worry where it's attached on the downside. Just let go on the upside. If you're in a tug of war and you want to go home, just let go. Don't bother winning. Just let go. And all of a sudden you're free. That's what letting go means. It's a very deep thing, and you learn to do it. How? Little by little, day by day, moment by moment. You just practice letting go of the pull that mind and heart have on you. Because they will pull you in, won't they? Fine, I get lost. Fine, get lost. Come back. When? As soon as you can, come back. Well, what do I do if I get pulled down? Don't worry about it. No guilt, no shame, nothing. That's your growth. You go through what you need to go through. How do I know you need to go through it? Because it happened and you got pulled down. If it was something you could rise above, you would have risen above it. But you weren't ready. All right? And the next thing you know, whoa, sometimes people get pulled down for years. Years. I've met them. They come here. They came to the temple years and years ago. And they come back and say, oh my God, I got so lost. I thought I knew what was going on. And I just, wow. Can you get lost for years? Just get into a thought pattern. And so what you do is you practice letting go. You practice letting go of the rope, little by little, little by little. Eventually, you stay back there. It's called becoming established in the seat of self. You will never get pulled down again. It doesn't mean there aren't feelings that are not comfortable. It doesn't mean there aren't feelings that are comfortable. But you will not be pulled down into them. You're in a state what's called clarity, centered awareness. Does that mean I don't act? No, it does not mean you don't act. It means you act from that place. You don't act from your reactions. Right now we act from our reactions, don't we? I don't like what you said, right? It's like I can't handle what happened, so I'm reacting, either positive or negative. You eventually get to the point where you're not. You're there. You're clear. And that's what's happening. Now what happens? That's not even a high state. I told you we're going to talk about Chit Shakti. Okay, I'm building to it. What do you mean it's not a high state? You're establishing the seat of self. I've got total clarity. I'm the person in the room who's not being pulled down into my stuff, neither positive or negative, doing or not doing. That's teachings, right? Doing or not doing. You're neither. What happens next? What happens next, and it's an amazing, beautiful thing, and it's real, is because you're not being pulled down, you get pulled up. It's not you doing it. Has nothing to do with you. Don't ever take any credit for it and don't play around with it. We'll talk about that. But literally, because you're not being distracted and pulled down, there is a deeper force behind where you sit. It's behind where you sit inside. And it starts pulling you up. It's called the ascent. It starts pulling you up and pulling you up. And it's really beautiful. The name for God in the Hindu tradition, in the yoga tradition, is Satchidananda. Eternal conscious ecstasy. Don't use the word lightly. Eternal conscious ecstasy. That's what's pulling you up. You feel this force pulling you up from inside. And it's not easy to let go. Even though you're being pulled up into the most beautiful thing, you're being asked to let go of your individuality. At that point, you're being asked to let go of your separateness. Even you who's watching. You're being pulled into the void. You're being pulled up into the deep states where Buddha went, where Christ went. My Father and I are one. You're talking about true spirituality now, not games. But you have to be willing to go. You have to be, what did Christ say? The beauty of it, I'm a nice Jewish yogi. Everything Christ taught is the highest of yoga. What did he say? My Father and I are one. You must die to be reborn. Does that sound a little bit like what I'm talking about? You must let go of yourself, not come down and be something else. Let go completely. Let it pull you up. Let go, let go, let go. And where the great ones went, and that's what is pictured on the wall, they merged. What does that mean? Yoga means merger. That's what the essence of the word yoga means. Oneness, merger. What does that mean? Your consciousness was looking down at you. It stopped looking down at you. It's still conscious. Where does it go? It gets pulled up and up. And eventually, Mayor Baba said as following, my consciousness was a drop of water in the ocean. A drop. It fell into the ocean. Find it. Find me that drop of water. That's merger. And the great ones merged. That's what nirvana is. That's what my Father and I are one are. That's what the samadhis are. They literally let go enough. And I'm not talking they, your consciousness is this. You're one with God. That's what you are. That's who you are. You are literally God consciousness staring at your mind. Poor guy. That's not very nice. I'm sorry, God. You should apologize. No, but literally, it is the ocean of consciousness focusing on what's distracting it. And distracting is yours, is yours, is yours. You understand that? So it's going through your eyes distraction, becoming your mind distraction, becoming your heart distraction. So you're constantly being pulled down. When you let go, if you truly let go, and that's where the great ones went, you merge. Once they went to Meher Baba, great master. That's why I picture the master hanging on the wall. They aren't all the masters, but boy, you start to respect where they went and who they are and who you are. Somebody once asked Meher Baba, fully enlightened master, Baba, we see who you are. We see your greatness. Who are you? Actually asked Meher Baba, who are you? He was an avatar. He said, I was in the beginning before all else was created. I will be in the end after all else falls away. There was never a time I was not. There will never be a time I am not. I am that I am. That's where they live. That's where I can tell you stories about. I used to love reading the stories about the enlightened ones. Okay? But I'm not going to do that. But I'm telling you, that's what the universe is. Chit, Shakti, conscious energy. What do you mean? Consciousness, awareness. What do you mean energy? Power. When it focuses itself, it creates power. So what happens? What happens is we get pulled down due to these forces, downward forces. Okay? It's just constant pull down. You are in a state of constantly being pulled down. Do you understand that? You're constantly being distracted and pulled down into your thoughts and emotions. I like it. You're trying to decide, well, what should I do? That's ridiculous. You're God. You're the whole universe saying, what should I do? And I can't make my mind up. Should I do this? It seems right to me now, but I don't know. Whoa, help. You start seeing what's going on. Now, the more time you spend out, and out doesn't, I'm telling you, out is every minute of your life. You can be out and still interacting with the world. They call it in the world, but not of it. You're out. But when the energy pulls you up, that's a very, very great state. All right, so what happens to Chit Shakti? Conscious energy starts getting pulled down toward the mind. Toward whose mind? Your mind, your mind, your mind, your mind. Each one of the sum of your learned experiences, 8.3 billion of you running around like maniacs. How's that going to work out? If every one of you had different experiences, your sequence of experiences, as small as they are, they're different than everybody else's, and now throw them into a basket together and see how they get along. How are they doing so far? Well, who's right? Ask this guy, he'll say he's right. Ask that guy, he'll say he's right. Ask that person, I have proof. I had the direct experience. I was married. It didn't work out at all. I'm not going to get married again. I'm not stupid. Somebody else had a different experience. Nobody's right except a master. I'm someone who's out, has clarity. When you're free, you can free others. It's an amazing thing that happens. Okay? Just your energy. It's the energy of the being. They don't have to do anything. I've met great beings, and the real great ones, they don't do anything. But I always tell a story about Donna. Once a very beautiful saint came to visit us, and during that winter, all of her fingers would crack. You know how can some things happen, right? Cold cracks the fingers, and literally they were bleeding. She had Band-Aids on her fingers. And this saint came and visited us, and just walking around, minding her own business, and he just happened to hold her hand. Actually took both her hands. We were walking, right? Next day, not a mark. Not a single mark, period. Totally clean skin, all right? And he didn't know he did anything. Don't run around and say, I want to be a healer. You know what you want to be? Enlightened. Period. Nothing shy of it. I want out. That's how the great ones live. And as you let go, it all happens. It just naturally takes place. You're not the doer. So now what's happening is God consciousness is being pulled down into your mind. And it is. That's God in there. And the worst part about it is when you suppress, Freud talks about suppression and repression. What does suppression and repression mean? I'm pushing it away. I don't want to have this experience. Ever had an experience you didn't want to have? What'd you do with it? Get away from me. So it didn't make it through. It didn't pass because I'm not going to let it. What did you use to suppress that? What power in the universe, nuclear, solar, what power did you use that was powerful enough to push the actual experience that took place down You use Shakti. When you focus your energy, when you focus your consciousness, it creates focused energy. I always use the example of a magnifying glass outside, right? Hold a magnifying glass outside in the sun. It'll set the leaves on fire. It focuses the power. That is what your will is. Focused consciousness. Wake up. Know what's going on in there. And you're sitting there playing around with everything. And you start realizing, I don't want to do that. I don't want to suppress. Because then I have all this garbage inside of me. I have all these hopes and dreams and concepts and views and opinions. And not easy to live in there, is it? And you just start practicing letting go. You start again doing a condensed version of the whole fall down on the way back up, right? You just stop suppressing. What do you mean things hurt? Yep, they hurt because you're not ready to experience the reality that took place. Somebody died. Somebody got sick. You didn't get the job. Things happen, don't they? Can you handle it? Can you let go and permit the energy of the universe to pass through you? That's what it takes. But it takes little at a time, little at a time. You work your way out. You work your way out. Every bit you do is helpful. But a great being is out. They're out. They're just clear all the time. So we talked about what is Shakti. Shakti is the energy that focused consciousness, God, focused consciousness, you start feeling it inside of you at some point. You start feeling this energy. Let's talk about that. Ever feel Shakti? Anybody ever feel spiritual energy rising up inside them? The holy rollers roll in the aisles. That's where that comes from, right? That's spiritual energy. Call it whatever you want. We call it Shakti. It comes up inside and it can be very uplifting. It was very uplifting. You can get uplifted because you're attracted to somebody. Energy can turn you on, right? When you're open and it's flowing, it will turn you on. Can it turn you off? What's that telling you? You closed or you opened? To what? Shakti. As it can happen for anything. You can open, close, this and that. And you just get to the point you understand that's what's going on. You're opening and closing. And you sure like it when you're open, and you sure don't like it when you're closed. And you go running after open. You run after relationships. You run after sex. You run after money. You run after this. You run after jobs. You run after career. Anything that turns you on, I'm after it. That's what's going on. And then it turns you off, I'm out of here. I don't have anything to do with it. And you think that's natural. It's just Shakti. It's just whether you're open or closed. What do you want? You want to be open all the time. That's what you want. You want to be open all the time. But what if something terrible happens? Let it go. Handle it. Doesn't mean you don't deal with it. If something terrible happens and people are mistreating people, you come down and you do what you can to work with it. But you don't let it close you. A great being never closes. I did that in the Untethered Soul, right? Your heart is meant to be open. If your heart is open, you will feel love. You will feel joy. But what if something happens that's not so much fun? Relax. Relax through it. Then deal with it. It's not you don't deal with it, but you don't react and allow your heart to... A great being never closes their heart. In fact, a great being has no door left to close. There's no door. The door's gone. That's where you want it. You want it gone. There's no. And I've seen people go through things. I'm so proud of them. They're real difficult things to go through. And they kept their heart open. That's a great being. That's what you want to do. Don't suppress it. Don't ignore it. But I can go through this experience with an open heart. That's a great being, isn't it? So you just keep working on yourself to stay open. So what happens next? So the Shakti starts in the lower centers, and you go through chakras. I don't ever talk about them, the lower centers, and then it gets stuck in the ego. It gets stuck in the ego. What does that mean? It works its way. Most of you don't deal with survival. You're doing fine. And most of you are not completely lost in the second chakra. You know what I mean? You have problems, but you can pretty much handle them reasonably. Most people. All right? And then you come up to this third center. What's the third center? Do people like me? Do I like them? What do I want? What do I not want? What I believe? What don't I believe? Is this right? Is this wrong? It's just the mind. It's the ego mind. It's the personal mind that sits there and decides what's going on. And if it likes it, it opens. And you can feel energy go over the fourth. If it doesn't like it, it closes down. You get all weird. And that's what you're dealing with. Most people are dealing with third chakra. I don't want you to deal with third chakra. I don't even want you to deal with fourth chakra. What does that mean? When you learn to stay open, and it's practice, you just practice. You keep not closing. Well, somebody once asked me, but how do you open? Ready? Don't close. If you don't close, you will be open. Like you don't know how to open. Things open you, but you don't know how to open, but you know how not to close. You know when you're closing, don't you? Can you feel it? Okay, don't do it. That I'm scared. That's right. That's how you work your way through to the higher centers. You work your way through the lower vibrations. And just little by little, learn to let go. Learn it's worth it to let go. It's not, suppression is a terrible thing. Psychology is right. Suppression is a terrible thing. Why? It stores your garbage inside. Why do I want my garbage inside? I don't want anything inside that's left over from my past. That's ridiculous. Why do I want that? Mommy did so-and-so 30 years ago? Why in the world would I want that inside of my heart? Do you want it inside your heart? You keep it there, don't you? Every time it comes back up, you push it back down. Learn not to do that. This is your spiritual path. This is the real path. And so you work your way up. But what happens when it gets to the fourth chakra? You start to feel love. Whoa, that's nice. You literally start to feel love until you close. Until anything hits that ego that says, oh, you're not going to treat me like that. I'm not going to let you treat me like that. Okay, good. Close down. Until eventually you say, treat me any way you want. I'm going to stay open. Then I'll deal with it. Not that I won't deal with it. Maybe I need to deal with it. Maybe you got yourself weird in space, whatever it is. Maybe I need to leave you. I don't know. I can't answer you. But I can tell you, you want to make the decision when you're open. And you don't do it, do you? You make a decision when you're closed. Every single divorce is made when they're closed. But not great ones. You can go through, I've done it. You can go through really, really bad heartbreak situations and keep your head where it belongs and take the attitude, I once loved this person. I still love this person. I don't like what they're doing. It hurts. I'm just going to give. I'm going to give. And that's how you go through a divorce. If it has to happen, I'm going to give. I remember once telling someone that I loved very much, don't take it from me. I want to give it to you. Even though it killed me to say that. Do you understand that? You'll go through different relationships, won't you? They don't all work out, do they? Right? That was 55 years ago in my life. Okay? But imagine being ready to do it that way. And so you work with it, and eventually the heart does not close. Well, isn't that a great state? Not really. That's just the fourth chakra. There's 7 of them. And they say there's more. What does that mean? It means that at some point you learn to keep your heart open, but it's very personal. You're working with it. Eventually you realize there's a higher center, and in that higher center there's this thing called wisdom, inspiration, wisdom, knowledge that isn't from your mind. There's a line in the Gita that says, when thought has passed from thinking. In other words, you just know. You know, you're clear, you know. It's coming from above, not below. Right now, even in the fourth chakra, it comes from up. It comes up into the fourth chakra, doesn't it? Feeds your energy. At the higher level, at the fifth, it comes from above. It drops down. All of a sudden, you know things that you never even thought about. You can, I want to say it, I've never prepared for a talk that I ever gave for 50 years. Not a single thought. I have no idea when I'm going to talk about it anytime, ever. Never have. No, seriously. I would never let them. I disciplined myself back in the beginning. And so what comes out, comes out. It doesn't come from the mind. It comes from a deeper place. It comes from inspiration. It comes from intuitive wisdom, knowledge, whatever. You can have dreams that foretell the future. Yes or no? You've had dreams. You've had dreams that kind of give you a clue what's going on. It's not normal, but you can. They're dropping down into the mind from a higher center. That's, people always, I've never talked about the chakras like this. They want to know what's fifth chakra. That's the chakra of wisdom. That's what that's called, the wisdom chakra. But that's the difference. Below that is heart and then mind, right? But heart and mind dance together. You hear me? That heart will close based on what the ego doesn't like. But the higher heart doesn't. The higher heart is more spiritual. But then you go above that. The next thing you know, there's just this seat of wisdom, this seat of understanding, where there's nothing confusing ever. Nothing ever. There's no decisions to make. There's nothing. There's just clarity. And then it goes higher. And the higher 2 chakras are the point between the eyebrows, Agna, and Sahasrara, the top. Now you're talking about a liberated being, both those 2. You're talking about you've let go enough to where your personal self is not pulling you down at all, not at all. There's total clarity at all times, and you're interacting with something higher. Now you're starting to interact with the Shakti, with the pure Shakti. And ultimately what you're dealing with is it lets go. It goes out. It's a very high state. There's so much. These great masters. I want to learn from the great masters. I want to learn from the enlightened ones. Hear me. What is an enlightened being? I just told you. Beyond. Somebody once asked Yogananda, when you're talking at Carnegie Hall, he came to America in the 20s and hardly spoke English. He'd never given a talk before. But he was representing India at a conference, a religious conference in Boston. And all these people came because he had Shakti. He just pouring off of him. And Yogananda, they asked him, when you're standing up on that stage at Carnegie Hall, and there's this picture of thousands and thousands of people all around you, you must be so proud. That somebody once asked him that you reached that state, right? And that all these people are coming on to hear to you. You know, he told them, he said, no, I don't feel pride. I don't feel pride. He would always answer, honestly. If somebody asked him a question, oh my God, amazing. He said, if you want to know what I was experiencing, I'd be standing there giving the talk. And at the same time I'm giving the talk, I'm on a higher plane with my deceased guru, working with higher beings. And at the same time, I'm merging with the universe. My consciousness is expanding at the speed of light throughout creation. And every galaxy is my being. All of that is happening simultaneously. There, that's an enlightened being. That's an enlightened being. That's where Buddha went. That's where Christ was. You are that, right? And what's so beautiful is Christ told you you're that. As I sit by the throne of my Father, it's not a seat, it's a seat of consciousness. As I sit by the throne of my Father, so you shall sit by my throne. And these things which I do, you should do these and even greater things. You're one with God. You're one with everything. So this is where the great ones were. And now you're not there. You're not there. Don't ever say you're there. But you know there is there. And guess where it is? What did Christ say? The kingdom is within you. The kingdom is within you. It is that inner state of total liberation, of merger, of oneness. So now we've talked about Shakti being the universe, coming down and focusing on that little thing over there. It's literally looking at your thoughts, isn't it? That's just looking at your thoughts and then being pulled down into this garbage, which you call you. What I want and what I don't want and what I like and what I don't like, and just the whole ball game. And eventually you wake up. You wake up. That's about what I got to say tonight. Anybody interested? You're a very great being. Like they used to say, I need to get back to God. No, you need to stop leaving. Much easier. You don't even know what God is, and you go back to God. It's a concept, right? The fact that it's you, and you stop going down there, and you actually practice letting go of yourself and daring to do that amazing thing of dying to be reborn. Okay? Work on these things. Jagrative.
You've been listening to the Michael Singer Podcast, produced by Sounds True in partnership with Shanti Publications. For more information on Michael's body of work and all back episodes, please join us at michaelsingerpodcast.com. Thanks so much for listening. Sounds True, waking up the world.